Welcome to the Coming Clean podcast with your host, Peter 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.
Hit it dash in my position, you will never last. Real talk, I had to get it from the mall. Real talk, now I'm vibing with a bankroll. Cash.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Coming Clean podcast. This is your host, Peter 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Thank you for joining me today. And please don't forget to go to the website, www.comingcleanpodcast, and subscribe for a free upload of the first chapter of my upcoming book, From Lies to Riches. Today we have an incredible guest, none other than Evan Carmichael. Evan Carmichael believes in entrepreneurs. At the age of 19, he built and sold his first biotech software company. At 22 years old, he was a venture capitalist helping raise from $500 to $15 million for investors. He now runs the biggest YouTube channel for entrepreneurs with 2 million plus subscribers. He's written 4 books and speaks globally. He wants to solve the world's biggest problems, and he set 2 world records, uses trampoline and stand-up desks. He owns Canada's largest salsa dance studio and has a giant Dorito bag in front of him all day long to remind him that he is stronger than Doritos. His home is Toronto, Canada, and he's a husband, a father, TSM fan, and Timo Maine. Hello, Evan, and welcome to Coming Clean Podcast.
There we go.
There you go. How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I am terrific. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for joining us today.
That's a lot of New York love behind you there. I like it.
I'm actually in San Diego today.
Okay.
Evan, how are things going? How are you holding along in this pandemic period?
This actually has been fantastic for me. So I'm naturally an introvert. So staying home all day is pretty easy for me. I think my business has struggled a little bit in terms of speaking because I'm not all my speaking gigs got canceled. But my YouTube channel is blown up because I'm just at home making content and use the time to more closely connect with my wife, and that's actually been a massive blessing. So it's been a lot easier, I think, for me than most people. But I'm introverted, so it's not that big a challenge.
You know, I often say that the universe has given us an opportunity to pause and reflect on who we are and who we want to become, and give us an opportunity to get closer to our loved ones and truly appreciate them. You know, we had gotten so busy with being busy that we have forgotten what is priority in life. And this has given us, at least for me, it's given me an opportunity to sit back and reflect and truly appreciate life in every minute of it.
Yeah, and you know, so I work from home when I'm in the city, and my wife obviously lives with me. But I've had team members come over. Some entrepreneurs that I've invested into will often come over, and they all stopped. So now it's just me and my wife, 24/7, and that's it. Apart from like talking to you and Zoom calls and stuff like this, but who's here in our place? Just me and her. And so it's been actually pretty cool. It's been pretty fun. So it'll be fun to see. I think we'll keep a lot of it going forward, to be honest. And I think it's that forced experimentation has, there's a lot of blessings inside of it.
Let's talk about those individuals that perhaps are not seeing this as a blessing. You know, there's a lot of people that had got stuck in the negative aspect of what's happened. And unfortunately, there's some people that have been deeply affected, their jobs, their families. Some people have lost actually family members because of C-19. The school systems that have become paralyzed, some are about to reopen. How do those people transition? You have been a mastermind of motivating people through your YouTube channel. You're full of energy and enthusiasm. How do we transmit that enthusiasm to others?
Well, okay, so maybe 2 questions there. I think what can you do inside of the negativity? I think it's, even for me, there's a lot of negative things that I could focus on. You know, I've got a close family member right now who's in the hospital struggling and probably not going to make it. My speaking business is zero, and I don't know when that's going to come back. One of the companies I started is a largest salsa dancing school, maybe in North America. And that's at zero. Like nobody's going to do salsa dancing classes right now. And so there's so many things that I could focus on as being a negative. And I think it's just a small slice of what we go through in life. You can always choose to focus on the things that are not working out, or you choose to focus on the things that will. And for the entrepreneurs out there, I'm mostly talking to entrepreneurs. When you want to start a business, there's so many reasons why it's not going to work. So, there's a million reasons why your business won't work. There's a million reasons why. You don't have the money. You're not smart enough. You don't have the resources, the connections, the family. You didn't grow up with this, the government. There's a million reasons. And there's 8 why you will. And it's choosing to accept that you have 8 reasons. And 8 is an abundance of reasons. Focus on the 8 because you only need one of those 8 to win. And I think that's the difference in the mindset and mentality of people who go off and achieve happiness, success in their fields, because they're choosing to focus on the reasons why they can win instead of all the things that they don't have in their life. And that's just a daily mental choice that you have to make. And I think if you want happiness, it's a good choice to go for.
And you have been a mastermind at creating those 8 reasons or 10 reasons. In fact, most of your video clips are about that, about 10 reasons or 8 reasons. And one of them that caught my attention deeply is your one world belief. Can we talk about that and why one world belief?
So I think everybody has a single most important core value. I call it your one word or your who. It's at the core of who you are. And when you figure out what your most important core value is, it allows you to live a life with a lot more meaning, and you're much less likely to fall into somebody else's version of your life, right? Everybody has plans for what you should do. Everybody's got an opinion on what Peter should do. What does Peter want to do, right? And most people don't have enough strength of conviction to actually say, here's what I want. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. I love you, but I still have to do my thing. So like if you had to pick, Peter, what's a single most important core value for you? What do you value more than anything else?
Kindness.
Awesome. So even knowing that is amazing self-awareness that 98% of America doesn't have. So now when you're looking at bringing on guests for your show, they better have kindness in them. When you're looking at hiring an editor for your YouTube channel, they better be kind, right? It's like, it's not enough to just have the skill set. You have to also be kind. And if you're around kind people who also are great at what they do, you're going to be happier. They're going to be happier. You could have the highest performer, but if he's treating your customers like garbage or treating the team members like garbage, it's going to be toxic. You don't want that person around you. And so just knowing that anytime that you are not happy, it's because there's a lack of kindness around you. In a family situation, in a team situation, a customer situation, if you're not happy, it's because there's a lack of kindness around you. And for me, if I'm not happy, it's because there's a lack of belief around me. And so I want people to have that self-awareness, to know what their roadmap is, so that you can always, if you're trying to, back to the original question of how do you have more optimism and positivity, for you, it's go spread kindness. Just do something nice for somebody. You're going to feel better. You're going to be more optimistic. You're going to find that breakthrough that you've been holding on to. You've been stuck with something. You'll get that breakthrough by going and showing kindness to somebody else, because that's how you're wired. And so I think for people to figure out what they stand for becomes a huge unlock. And that's for life. Like 95-year-old Peter is now not going to care less about kindness. It's only going to be more. You're just going to be more kind and only want to spend more kindness with time. Right?
Absolutely, because it's a muscle that we keep building on.
Yeah, and listen, everybody cares about kindness. You won't find so many people who are like, I hate kindness, that's stupid. But you care about it more than the average person. It means something more to you. And so leaning in on that and being the kindness guy and bringing on kind people and working with kind clients and trying to just spread more kindness to the world. Like spending 10 minutes with you should make that person talking to you feel like they want to go spread more kindness into the world as well, right? And I think that's a fantastic gift. Like if the more people Peter touches, the more people are now spreading kindness into the world. This is a little ripple effect that's having seeds planted all over the place. It's fantastic. And so for me, it's believe. I want to drop believe, seeds all over the world. And if you look at my content, it's always the rules that are positive. There's never negativity in my content. If I did the first top 10 I did was on Kanye West, I could have easily done a top 10 rules for stupid things to say, or top 10 like hate moments, some kind. Like there's a lot of stuff that he did that you can easily go at him for. And that video probably would have done better than education, success oriented stuff, because people love to look at how bad somebody else's life and laugh at them. But I chose to stay on the positive side because that's what makes me feel good. So figuring out what your most important core value is, your who, your one word, I think is one of the most important things you can ever do as a human, because it gives you your compass and your roadmap for the rest of your life.
You know, at 19, you sold your biotech company. At 22, you were managing a venture capital fund that would make assets between $500,000 to $15 million. Where was this drive? Where did that come from? How did you become Evan Carmichael?
One day at a time. One day at a time. I mean, I've got a picture. I don't know if you can really see it, but here behind me is a picture of my mom, my dad, and me when I'm 8 years old.
Okay.
And they used to always tell me, "You're Evan Carmichael. You could do anything that you believe that you can." And the voice of
statement. What a powerful statement. You can do anything that you believe that you can. Yes.
And I mean, that's what I try to teach my son as well. But the voice, you know, to your question, the thing that's in my head from my mom she would always say, if you have the ability, then you have the responsibility. If you can, then you must. And I didn't, you know, early on in my life as an entrepreneur, I didn't have the one word. I didn't know, you know, I didn't have the clarity. I think as we gain experience and as we learn from experts and mentors, we gain more clarity and experience and knowledge with time. So at the beginning, you know, 19, 20 years old, started my first business, I didn't know what my purpose was going to be, but I always had that voice of my mom in my head that if you have the ability, you have the responsibility. And I always felt like I had ability. I knew I could do something. I knew that what I'm doing right now is not the full expression of me. I could be doing more. I don't know what that more is yet, but but I know I could do more. And the idea to serve, right? My latest book is called Built to Serve, because service is hardwired into humanity. You are built to serve. It hits the same part of your brain as having food and having sex. So you're literally hardwired to serve other people. But how do you serve and whom do you serve? Those are the questions that we kind of all wrestle with. So over the years, I figured it out. But at the start, it was just that desire to want to help because I knew it felt good. But the journey to try to figure out how I'd be able to do it.
What has been your biggest challenge since you left the venture capital world and the biotech world to go to YouTube, to become a YouTuber? What has been your biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge is always your one word, like lack of belief. Like your next breakthrough is on the other side of even more kindness. How can you show even more kindness? What does that look like? And people will look at you and say, what do you mean? You're always so kind. You've already done it. Like, but you're not as kind as you could be. And on that next step, like that's the next big breakthrough for Peter. Same thing for me. It's a lack of belief.
How can you have lack of belief, Evan, if you have 2 million plus followers?
It's always, but that's the thing. Like anybody would look at you and say, how can you have lack of kindness? You're Peter. Like you're always so kind. But you know, you could be more kind. You know, there's been lots of moments where you haven't been kind and you're not proud of how you reacted to something, and you could spread more kindness to the world somehow. That's the next big breakthrough for you. And same thing for me, like lack of belief to do the next thing. This is a constant battle. I'm confident in doing the things that I've already done. You could do that again, but it's the first time doing something new. Yesterday I had Dr. 𝗔𝗩𝗔𝗕𝗦𝗏 on my channel. And he's one of the kind of top 100 people that I wanted to have on my show. And I was super nervous. And I've had Tony Robbins on my channel and Gary Vee on my channel and Grant Cardone and like, you name it.
You had everybody.
We've had in like entrepreneurship. Yeah,
sure.
we've had a lot of the big people on the show. And I was super nervous, even yesterday, even having 2 million subscribers, even having 300 million views and having had all these people for the hour leading up to it. I couldn't do anything else. I was supposed to record videos. I had to delay that to the afternoon because I couldn't focus because my biggest fear is I'm going to disappoint people. I'm going to disappoint my audience, and I'm not going to ask the right questions, and I'm going to get on stage and not deliver value to people. That, you know, science was my worst subject. growing up. And here now I'm talking to Dr. 𝗔𝗩𝗔𝗓𝗏, who I watch his videos, and he's like deep in the science, and I'm worried I'm going to get lost and just be like, I don't know what you just said, and then not have a good question live on, Instagram to my audience. And so logically, none of that makes sense. Logically, I've done tons of these interviews. Logically, of course, he's not going to try to make me look stupid and talk in scientific circles. Of course, he's dealt with people who, don't understand the intricacy. Of course. But it's the emotions that take over. And so it's on the other side of more belief in myself is the next step to do the big thing. And what I try to do is teach myself that the fear is not a good enough reason. So the 𝗔𝗓𝗔𝗓 interview was scheduled on Monday. This was not like I had a month of lead time.
Wow.
It was scheduled Monday. I don't usually do interviews on a Wednesday, but it was the only time in his calendar in the next month or so that he had open. And so my booking guy said, I've got a guy who books people for me. And he said, well, if you want to do it, it's this Wednesday at 3:00. Do you want it? And in one ear, it's like, oh my God, I'm not ready. I don't know enough about him. I haven't done any research. I'm not a scientist. I'm going to disappoint people. And then the belief side kicks in, is like, yes, because I do scary things, because I want to teach myself that I do scary things. Because the last thing you want to do is come up against that fear barrier and say, no, because maybe I never get that shot again with 𝗔𝗓𝗔𝗓𝗏. And then now my whole life, I'm like, what if I just said yes to the opportunity? So being afraid is not a good enough reason. And it went well. And of course it went well. I mean, the odds of you actually failing and screwing up big time are pretty low, but it's that mental game that kicks in. So it's always a lack of belief. Like the thing that stops me from being the next version of Evan is still a lack of belief. And I think that's normal. I think that's part of the journey. One of my favorite expressions is, behind the mountain is more mountains. So like you're climbing forever. It's not that, oh, once I get to the top of the mountain, I'll be happy. No, behind the mountain is more mountains, because you don't want to stop growing. Because when you stop growing, you start to hate your life. And so it's that growing forever. And how do you grow? Through your one word, through your who, for me, through believe. So yeah, it's been a wild ride, and can't wait for the next 70 years of my life.
You do some interesting stuff. You have a trampoline and you have a stand-up desk. Why?
Okay, so stand-up desk I've used for, I don't know, maybe a decade. It was just an experiment. I think I read about it, some blog way back before it became popular, and I just tried it out. And I did it by taking my laptop. I love just small tests. Like if you get an idea for something, find a way to start it. Don't go out to some store and buy some fancy stand-up desk and do all just take your laptop and go stand on a bookcase. And I adjusted one of the shelves to be the right height, and I just worked on it. And I lasted for about an hour, and then my legs kind of gave out on me, because if you're not used to standing up, you get tired really quickly.
Sure.
I just found that before that, whenever I took a phone call, I'd always have to stand up. I just have more energy. I have more excitement. I feel better when I'm standing. And so I decided to just move to having a stand-up desk, when now I actually, bought a real stand-up desk and have set up. The trampoline I got just because I just like bouncing. So like all day long, usually I have music on and I'm bouncing, and I have a goal to do 20,000 jumps a day. Not like giant jumps, so just it's a mini rebounder trampoline, and I just have more energy, and I think it feels better on my body than just standing on a hard surface. And I like, there's a lot of scientific reasons that I found later on, of like the lymph system only flushes out with up and down motion, where we don't get enough of it usually. There's no pump like the heart, so you can actually flush out a lot of the toxins in your body. But that's really just another reason or validation for me. I just liked the movement. I think like when you're moving, good stuff happens. Like you're talking about being positive and being optimistic and looking for the 8 reasons why you can win instead of the million why you can't. I think when you're moving, when you're also standing up straight, my sitting posture is garbage. So I would have garbage, dude, garbage. I have at 22, I was having like weekly chiropractor inserts in my soles of custom orthotics. My knees were all busted. Now I'm 40 and I feel great, mostly because I got used to just standing up. So I'm sitting like this, all hunched over, no energy. Like it's really hard. If you're like this, you're closed off.
Yeah,
right?
you're rejecting the energy that could be coming to you.
100%. You're rejecting the energy. You're in pain. Like, it's really hard to come up with great ideas when you're hunched over, when you're in pain, when this is hurting. Like, so being in a positive state, I think is one of the most important things you can do. The first thing I do every morning is I put on music. The first thing, like as I walk to the washroom, right? I wake up, I go to the washroom. On the walk to the washroom, I'm putting on music. So then I'm walking like this, right? Like songs that make you want to move. Energy matters. And nobody wakes up, whatever time you wake up, nobody wakes up. It's like, yes, Thursday, let's go, right? Like nobody, Tony Robbins, Peter, Evan Carr, like nobody wakes up like that. The difference is though, successful people demand excellence from themselves, and they create habits and routines for themselves that bring that out of them. So I think music is the fastest way to change your state. And so I would make a playlist. I have a playlist. It's public. People can watch it if you want, of 300 or 400 songs or so of my go-to, right? Of my go-to songs. I just added some Billy Joel in last night, so that's good. But songs that I like, and I play everything at 1.25 speed. In YouTube, you can speed up songs because it's just more optimistic and happy. And literally, as I'm going from my bedroom to my bathroom, I'm playing one of those songs. I have it on shuffle, so I get a random song, and I start, like, I'm going from this to then just in a matter of seconds, you're just dancing, moving to the bathroom. And if you start your day with something like that, I love music, but whether it's meditation for you or hugging somebody or act of kindness, something, what gets you going? And then not just hoping that happens, but demanding it as part of your morning routine will totally change your outlook on the rest of the day.
I love what you said right there. Successful people have the higher demands for themselves, and they also develop habits and routines that enhance their quality of lives. Besides the music, what are your go-to habits and routines that you do on a daily basis?
So music's the first thing. And then after the bathroom, I try to have a song where I just get lost in it, to not think about what I'm doing today and not just enjoy. Like, when was the last, as an adult, when was the last time you just put a song on and enjoyed it? Right? It just doesn't happen that often. We just immediately caught up in the stress of what's about to come.
Yeah, we jump right into whatever we need to get done. Yeah, most people do. Yeah.
So I find that super valuable, super helpful. Then I have a couple dogs, so we'll take the dogs out for a walk. Usually my wife and I will go have a walk with the dogs. I like just getting some sun on my face, getting some fresh air, getting out of our place and getting outside. I mean, I live in Toronto, Canada, so having New York in your background, you know what winter looks like. So now that you're in San Diego, though, you're spoiled. But I want to take advantage of this August sunshine and temperature, because it's about to get nasty here in the winter. So we'll go for about half hour, walk with the dogs, get some sun, and then I come back and I'll do a workout with some learning. So I'll usually watch my own videos, like who was the last top 10 that we made while I'm running or doing some kind of exercise, to feed my body and also feed my brain. So, this morning I was listening to some John Assaraf stuff that we did. So I had John Assaraf talking to me about mindset and brain development while I was doing some cardio. And I think that's good. Like, if you want to grow, you have to be around people who are growing and pushing you. And so I know John, fortunately, but I still get to learn from him remotely, just from his content.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. And then I'll have just some intention for how do I want today to look? What am I doing today? I'll look at my calendar. So we're doing this on a Thursday. Thursday is my public facing day. I'm doing interviews and hangouts and podcasts, up until 9:00 tonight, like just straight. And like, who am I talking to? Like, oh, I got Peter coming up. Okay, that's gonna be some fun. He's gonna bring some good questions, some energy. I'm looking forward to it. And just intention. Like, what do I want today to look like? Most people don't have an intention for the day, and they just kind of wake up like an accident and fall into other people's emergencies for what you should do with the day. And then it's 10:00 at night. It's like, what happened? And I was like, I want to have intention for my day, and I build that in.
Yeah, I actually describe that when people start the day with that intention, like they're in the middle of Beirut, right? And they jump right into a war. They go right into defense mechanism, defense mode, and everything is a challenge and negative energy around them. Let's talk about your top 10 rules for success. What are the top 10 rules for success in your view? Of the ones that you created?
Yeah, and wow, and I know we're kind of bumping up against the clock too. It's crazy, dude. This is fun. The most important one that I've seen over and over and over and over again, besides, belief, like believe in yourself for sure, is to love the work that you're doing. Like if you're starting the podcast because you think podcasting is a hot strategy for 2020, you're going to lose. Like you have to love podcasting. You have to love talking to people. If you don't love talking to people, don't do a podcast or do a solo podcast, right? Like so many people are just trying to make money, and money is important. It just can't be number one. It's got to be in your top 5. It just can't be number 1. And the people who win actually love the process of doing the work that they're doing, not just the results that they're chasing down.
And that's interesting that you say that, because I started the podcast a year ago, and here we are, 600,000 downloads per month. And somebody asked me earlier, what was your first number of downloads? Well, the first episode had 150 downloads, 152 to be exact. And I wonder, how would I ever get past that movement, right? And here we are, 600,000 downloads every single month. Of course, that's nothing compared to the numbers that you're doing. Now, Evan, I seen you made an incredible transition from YouTube to social media, particularly Instagram. Why and how do you see that platform?
I just want to spread the mission. And I know we're kind of at time, but I just want to spread the mission. Just like you want to spread kindness everywhere. I want to spread belief everywhere. So why do a book? Why do an audio book? I don't listen to any audio. Why do a book? Because people listen to books. People read books. So I want to be where people are. If you want to spread kindness. So I guess final message for everybody listening, if you know what you want to spread, then think about the mediums that you need to be on. I want to be everywhere. So Instagram is a logical following. YouTube, I still think, is the best place you need to be. But go spread your message. Because
where can people find you? What project are you working on today?
Evan Carmichael, pretty much everywhere. And what am I working on? I'm working on being on this episode with Peter. So if you're liking this, go show him some love. Sure, he's got 600,000 monthly, but we need to get him to 6 million, fam. Come on, let's go make that happen. So give him some love. Share this episode. If Peter's given you any value over the years of him doing this, share this episode. Give him some love. Give him a review. It's hard work. We got to make it happen. Appreciate you, Peter, man. Thank you for having me.
The incredible Evan Carmichael, Come and Clean Podcast. Thank you so much, my brother.
Much love, man.
Much love. Take care. Stay safe.
Thanks for joining us today on another episode of the Coming Clean Podcast. Make sure to join Peter and his next guest on a brand new episode as we continue changing and impacting lives across the world. Share this episode with a friend, follow, subscribe, and leave a review.
Boy, I had to get it fast. Get a dash in my position, you would never